Has someone got a bit now about how Mark Wahlberg thought that he could...
I do.
Oh, you do? That's you.
What?
So you do that in your show?
Yeah.
Wait, how he thought he what?
He thought he could have stopped 9/11. Like he was supposed to be on a flight and then he didn't.
One of the flights that went...
One of the flights that went into
And he thought he could have overthrown
Yeah,
the...
he says it would have gone differently.
Is this...
That was your show. That's
Hang
so
on,
funny.
when you say that's a bit that you do, have you made that up or is that actually...
No, it's real.
What?
Yeah. I think originally I thought he'd slept in, but I've found out since that he was booked on a flight and then cancelled it or whatever, but he was like meant, and he talks about it as like the universe like stepping in.
Okay, that part, the universe stepping in so he wasn't on the plane, that part I'm all about.
That's fine.
It wouldn't have
More than
happened if I was on the plane because I'm Marky Mark and I would have overthrown ISIS.
Yes.
Of course you would have.
Literally. And it's just
How
Mark
so
Wahlberg
offensive.
from Ted.
How offensive to everyone else on those flights. How offensive
He
is
could have
that?
done it.
Especially considering, like, not to get too into it, but one of the flights, the passengers fought back, right?
course.
Like,
Yeah,
actively
yeah.
involved, and to be like, if only they
If
had
I was
me.
there.
He could have taken them all on.
Oh my God. Oh, I feel a bit sick about
Yeah,
that.
I know. Yeah.
I know.
But I'm sure your comedy bit about it is great.
I would say it was fine.
No, it is great. That's why that's why I brought it up because I was just like, it must have been you. I was just thinking it could have been. I was like, to talk about Mark Wahlberg.
I do have such a deep like, I mean, I feel safe on this crime podcast talking to you guys, but it does feel weird. Like, I'm so fascinated by like 9/11, like law, like all the stuff around it, like the event and stuff I find really upsetting.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a human being, but like all the stories around it, all the like the shows that got cancelled or what was it called? The Band of Brothers they could never have expected how big it was going to be. It had premiered like the weekend before the attack, and then they put it off for like 2 weeks, and then it came back and it was this like war movie about a war TV series, and it just got so popular because everybody was like emboldened, which wasn't the take of the series at all. It's supposed to be like showing how horrific war is, but it kind of became its own beast because everybody was so patriotic and was like, yeah, like fight for your country and blah, blah, blah. And like all that stuff. They had to like quickly write a West Wing episode. Like there's like a bottle episode that they released. Anyway, I love all the like stuff around
everything
it.
that went around there. Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg.
And Mark Wahlberg, of course. Most importantly, Mark Wahlberg. We should introduce you.
Oh, yeah. We're recording.
We're recording.
Let's go.
So we have the wonderful, one of my favourite comedians of all time, the great Jordan Barr.
The goat.
Yeah, the goat.
Whoa.
Oh, my God.
What an intro. He says that to all the guests.
I
know he does.
I never would.
I'll take it anyway.
You guys have been working together this week too.
Yeah, we have. We just did a run at Comedy Republic, which
was so much fun.
It was fun. It was good vibes. You never know. This time of year, it gets so because I don't want to go out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I was surprised that many people are out every night.
Yeah.
Like it is a bit of a surprise when you see that many people out.
Literally.
And just like so excited to be there.
But then part of me is like, is it because Melbourne winter is so brutal that everybody's like, I need
something. I need something. I need
I
warmth
actually
in my
think
heart.
this is something that Melbourne and London does as well.
Yeah.
We know that the weather is bad in winter, so we just fight through it.
Yeah.
Whereas
you
in
just still
like
go
in
out.
Sydney, the weather's so beautiful all the time. If it's raining and cold, people like full hunker down.
That's
so
true.
Whereas in
true.
Melbourne and London's the same. It's like, well, I'm going to be cold. I want to go out and enjoy myself still because I'm going to be cold no matter what.
Yeah.
Sydney totally gives up. Like,
They do.
They're just like, we're a summer
defeated.
city.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
We don't do this.
No beach, no bueno.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they say.
That's exactly what they say.
Never seen
No beach, no bueno.
bueno in my life.
No beach, no bueno.
I love that. I want that on like the New South Wales license plate. No beach, no bueno.
That's our new merch. No beach, no bueno.
And then Northern Territory's got CU in the end too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And New South Wales has no beach,
No beach, no bueno. Now, you two have something in common, and I think you two could be best friends because
What?
you two are musical theatre girlies. Yeah.
Exactly.
And Jordan can sing. Like, so
See, I can't.
No, this is
you can
too
sing.
kind.
I reckon you can sing.
I heard
reckon
it
you're
just
great
then.
enough. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, sorry.
No, that was actually good.
I'm so sorry.
had,
What's happening? Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean you're a musical theatre girly?
I love musical theatre. I grew up doing it, like at school and stuff like that. I did it at uni, but I quickly discovered that I cannot dance like at all.
Hey, but leads very often don't dance.
Exactly.
Get everyone to dance around you.
Yeah, that's
Believe
what
that's how it
I kept
happens.
telling them.
Love you, Rob. If you're listening.
Ever heard of him?
But I think
Left feet Mills. That's what I call him.
But I just I just couldn't dance. And then I auditioned for a few musicals outside. I think I spent like 2 years really like head in the sand, like I'm just going to do musical theatre. And then I started just doing other shows and started doing stand-up and was like, oh, this actually...
This feels better.
This feels better.
This feels better.
Feels more capable for me. I still love to sing and stuff like that, but it's certainly not like when I try to sing at home now, it is nowhere. Like it's the first time in my life I've been like, you know, when people look back at photos of themselves when they're younger, being like, I wish I'd appreciated my. That's how I feel about like
your voice
singing.
Oh,
I wish I'd like enjoyed the fact that I was training for so long, and now it's like it's gone.
That's just karaoke vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
Pub band, sing-alongs.
But you pulled it out at the end of your show. Sorry, G. You pulled it out at
did.
the end of your show this year, which was so cool to see
yeah.
you singing right at the end. I was like,
God.
holy hell.
Yeah, I
The
can't.
pipes.
Hell, sorry to swear, but holy hell.
Holy heck.
Heck.
Holy hell.
What's your favourite show?
Whoa. I'm a big fan of Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, okay.
I love Into the Woods. I love Company. But I don't know. I feel like when I was at uni, they really trashed on Andrew Lloyd Webber a lot.
Why does everyone do this? Sammy always does this as well, and he and Oliver Clark bully me about my undying love for Andrew Lloyd Webber, except for Joseph. Joseph sucks.
Oh, of course. I mean, he really threw a lot at the wall, and some of it stuck, some of it didn't. But now I'm like, I love the Phantom of the Opera score.
Yes!
Are you kidding? It's that like
Redemption! Redemption for Phantom.
ba, 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 ba. It's like it is truly like there was a period of time, especially in lockdowns, where I was like, this is the song that gets me up in the morning. Like this is like the Phantom of the Opera, the
Your
song.
neighbours would have loved you every morning.
yeah.
So dramatic. I love that.
I love it. But it was just, now I'm like, I think when I was studying it, I was such a wanker. I was like, musical theatre is best when it's just like a tiny old woman barely singing.
But you're allowed to be a wanker if you study like any
Yeah.
sort of arts at all.
You
Yeah.
have to
Like,
be.
yeah,
And
I was-
Sondheim is very, I studied musical theatre. I'm a Sondheim fan.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you like Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm on the other side and I'm like, I don't want to see a musical unless there's like Big Bang Crash Boom.
Yeah.
Dancey, dancey. I saw
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
Chitty bang bang.
Oh, what did you? Oh, we still haven't spoken about
Oh,
Beetlejuice on the
Beetlejuice
pod.
was great.
This is the perfect. We went and saw it together.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tell me what you thought about it.
I loved it.
Wasn't it
Yes.
great?
It was so good.
So funny.
Yes. And like I felt like we were in
That's my take on musical theatre.
It's
So
so
funny.
so
It's
funny.
funny shit.
It's
They had
funny.
song and funny.
They had song and sometimes dance and laughing. Yeah.
and just enough of everything. Like and there was also
Yeah.
like enough like pathos. Like I was like, I really care about
Yeah.
Lydia.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so because it was the first time I think I've seen like it also showed me I was like, oh, I'm like getting to that age where like things that I grew up with are like is like nostalgia fodder.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where you're like,
yeah.
oh, they're remaking my life.
Yeah.
And
The
like,
kids don't realize this is from a movie.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And I grew up loving Beetlejuice. It was my favorite movie, and so it was the first time I'd seen a musical adapted from a movie that I was like protective over.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then I just loved it.
Oh, that's
thought
a
it was great.
massive tick of approval.
Yeah.
If you're a massive movie fan and then loved the musical
So
as well.
good. What did you guys think?
I loved
Loved
it.
it, yeah.
Really thought it was so much fun.
I didn't know what to expect because I don't always love when they turn movies into musicals.
Yeah.
Except for Moulin Rouge. Oh my God, that was so good. But I don't always love when they do that. And I was a little bit like, it's going to be silly, you know, it's Beetlejuice, it's Eddie Perfect, it's going to be silly. I had no expectations going in.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't think I would dislike it, but I'm like, I'm not going to walk away going, it's one of my favorites. But
Yeah.
it really blew me away. I loved it.
I know. I'm already thinking about going back.
Yeah.
I want to go back as well.
It was
yeah.
just so fun. And I've like bought tickets for my mum.
Oh, great.
So I'm like, I just want to talk about it with people, you know?
Yeah. Because we saw Jesus Christ Superstar and then Les Mis and then Beetlejuice all in like the space of like a week and a half.
That is so funny.
It's been a great month in Melbourne.
It was really good. Yeah. And then Comedy Republic this week. We really can have it all.
Yes, you really can.
You really can have it all.
Guys, I need to tell you that I didn't get much sleep last night because my phone started ringing at 1 a.m.
Why?
And it was my best
It was
friend.
me. I put my neck out. Actually did.
It was my best friend who lives in New York calling to say he put in for the ballot for a ticket to the Tonys and he got it! Abba's going to the Tonys.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So as a ballot, you can put it in. You could so that there's a certain amount of seats for.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And he got it.
That's
He's going
so
to the
cool.
Tonys. Anyway, sorry, this is a crime podcast.
No.
Not Georgia
not
Loves
another crime
Musical
podcast,
Theatre
actually.
Exploration.
No, but truly
I do
it is.
apologise.
I will say, and this is like, I went to the Tonys.
Oh, shut. Okay. I've got to go. I have to go. It's been so nice to meet you, but I hate you. What?
It was so random. It was a ballot thing as well, but it was because I was traveling with my friend, Annie Aitken, who does a lot of musical theatre. She's a star, but she, her parents, for her birthday, they entered the ballot and she got it. She got tickets. The tickets, I don't remember them being like, they were expensive, but as much as getting good seats to a Broadway show.
Yeah, right.
And so we both got tickets up in the gods, but it was 2017. Get this. It was the year that Bette Midler won for Hello Dolly. So I was in heaven.
Yeah.
But it was hosted by Kevin Spacey. This was 2017.
Oh wow!
It was about 3 months before the Me Too movement. It was so, and like he was making jokes about being in the closet and stuff like that. And I was laughing because I was like, I'm a huge Kevin Spacey fan. We're so lucky. And now I'm like,
No, you can't.
Oh, that was that.
Now you can't talk about your experience.
No.
Oh, no.
Talk about crime pod.
Yeah. We can call that Kevin
Yes.
Spacey.
So
We were discussing Kevin Spacey the other day, or maybe that was me and Gareth at work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah.
It's the spirit of his career.
Who's that?
I don't know who that is. Let's just wait a second.
That's eerie.
Kevin Spacey's career.
That's so
Don't
wild.
talk about me.
Don't
You know,
talk
he
about
got some award the other day, and we're like, oh, is he uncancelled?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He did get an award the other day.
Oh my God, that
Yeah,
doorbell's going to
I know,
keep
I know.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Where else would I put them?
All right. There was a Hello Fresh. All right, we're back.
Also, HelloFresh, if you'd like to sponsor
Oh
us.
yeah, absolutely. That's actually a great ad.
That's a
Yes.
great ad.
We could have people come up. We're happy for Mercedes to interrupt.
Yes. Should we redact the brand of the food delivery that
Yeah.
just came to your door and
Yeah,
should they
yeah.
sponsor us?
We can drop it in here.
Redact that.
Now, there's a story that you're interested in
Yes.
for today that we're going to discuss. Now, can you tell us when you first came to know about this story?
I came, I think it was maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was driving to Bendigo and I have a friend who I just like, we have exactly the same taste in like, especially in podcasting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because we like have this like fascination with crime and with scams and stuff like that, but you can feel sometimes, I don't like consuming true crime, depending on the story, depending on who's doing it, it feels like eating shit food. You're like, I've indulged this, but on the other side, I'm like, I don't really feel.
You feel a bit icky. Yeah, I don't feel whole. Yeah.
So we're both like, you know, you find the stories, or like more like you find the people who are normal about it, rather than like some like
really obsessed with it in a weird way.
Yeah,
or really,
yeah.
yeah.
And but she messaged me being like, hold on to your hat. We have another fake cancer girl. And I was interested. As soon as I hear, so the story that can I say?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Imagine if it said no.
The entire episode is one big
no,
tease.
it's a guess.
It's part of the mystery.
Yeah.
It's Scamanda.
Yep.
It's Amanda, who's a great name.
Isn't
such
it
a good name.
If your name is Amanda, don't scam people. You make it too easy.
It's so easy. And as soon as I found out that she was a fake cancer person and that it was like, you know, this years-long sort of investigation, I was like, I'm in. I'm so interested. I don't know what it is about these girls. I feel like maybe it's because we can, in a way, see life forking out. When you're a kid, you lie.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you're like, yeah, I don't really understand the consequences of this. And then something happens where you're like, I should stop lying.
Yeah. yeah.
This is weird that I'm just making stuff up. Well, I used to make stuff up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was very little, like shit, like lie about dogs that we didn't have, or like
bragging about dogs you didn't have.
Yeah. Mainly just lying to get out of PE. But
You are a theatre girl.
but I feel like there's something in you where you're like, no, I'm gonna stop. This is wrong.
Yeah.
But some people don't get there.
No.
And you see, and they, especially with this girl, there were so many opportunities for her to start afresh. That's what blows my mind. She could have stopped. She could have started afresh. She didn't have to go back into it, but she can't help herself. It's like, it's an impulse.
Yeah,
So tell us about the story for people who haven't listened to that podcast.
Yes.
And want this one to summarize for them.
That's what we do best. So basically it talks about this chick, Amanda, who started seeing a gentleman who already had 2 kids. One of them was basically an adult, but one of them was young. And these kids and their parents, they divorced a few years earlier, and he started dating Amanda. And Amanda was originally the nanny as well, was originally the babysitter. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Very teacher's pet.
Yes, exactly. And so there was this like age gap, but she was really sweet. But what was so strange about the story is that one of the girls, the eldest one, had been through cancer treatment. She'd had cancer. She'd gone through that. The family went through that whole experience.
When she was a child, right?
And Amanda was there for it. Like Amanda witnessed it, I think, as the babysitter.
Yeah.
Before she was like romantically involved, but saw all that. And still like years later, she came up with this lie, and she just went to church, and basically it was sort of like an American Christian church, kind of Hillsong vibes, where people get up, they talk, they give talks, they play some music, and it's in like an auditorium rather than a church vibes. And she got up one day and said that she had stage 4 cancer, and then they all blessed her with a prayer, and then they all started throwing money at her. Like the pastor got them to start throwing money at her.
For treatment and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And she was going in like week after week, saying about the treatment she'd had, how she was going into details of how much the next treatment she needed would cost, and saying, I can't have it because I can't afford it. Is that right?
Yes. And then she would also get people to help with the kids and things like that. And she would post photos like in hospital. But like as it wore on, people found out you can just get yourself admitted. If you like lie hard enough, you'll get admitted and you might get a drip. And so she would post like needles in her arms from getting like a drip and stuff like that. So it looked so real. And she had this blog that was so detailed, and she'd clearly researched or like stolen some stuff from other people, and she used these big words and like all this stuff that, you know, especially for me, if I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, this person has cancer. Why would I think that someone is lying?
You wouldn't call someone out on something. Yeah. That's like Bel Gibson as well. Like you wouldn't really want to call, like all these people that were suspicious early on felt like assholes, because they're like, but how do you confront someone and say, I don't think you actually have cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So who first thought that, and why?
So there were some people in the church, because she moved churches. So she kind of got found out by a few women there who were just sus on her. Also the mother who her husband's ex was starting to get sus. But then that became this interesting like custody issue as well.
Yeah, because Amanda then was saying, she's saying these awful things about me because she doesn't like that I'm the new stepmom. And wasn't she really, like, she really claimed the youngest daughter as her daughter, was like very, and was a bit weird with that. Like she was signing for her at school and stuff. Like she'd pick her up from school and like sign things as the mum.
That's
like
so
is it
right.
Amanda,
So
who is
weird.
the stepmom, was signing the daughter out of school and saying to the school, I am her mother, so I'm taking her out of school. And then the school would call her actual mum And she'd go, I never signed her out of school. And
Yeah.
It was, there's this pathological lying trait in her, clearly.
And they managed to, because what's interesting about this podcast as well is that they have these daughters talking about it and talking about their dad's involvement too, which is a whole other thing, whether he knew or not. But they convinced this girl to testify. Oh, maybe I'm using the wrong wording, but basically they ended up getting full custody of her, Scamanda and the father, for a couple of years before. And this girl was also starting to notice patterns. And as far as everybody can tell, Amanda had also told, she had 2 kids, biological kids of her own. She had also told her kids that she had stage 4 cancer. So they thought she was, and this girl thought she was dying as well.
Yeah.
And the thing that kind of people started to get sus on is that she was doing this stage 4 treatment, and it was all expensive and intense. And she kept talking about the surgeries that she needed and all the chemo and the chemo sickness. And then she was like, I'm pregnant.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, real spanner in the works.
Yep.
I'm pregnant.
Yep.
And she was putting it out there isn't that a miracle?
Yes.
Look, because the church, look what God has granted me, this miracle gift. So half the church was saying, that's amazing, that's a literal miracle. And the other half was going, I don't think that's physically
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. And also incredibly dangerous for both the mother and the fetus to be going through. And then so she also made a big song and dance about how she was going to sacrifice herself for her baby. She was like, this is God chose this. This is a miracle. I'm going to hold off my chemo treatment to give birth to this kid. Oh my God. So then it became, and of course, within the church, and especially in America with how they feel about all that kind of stuff, she became this hero for those who were eating it up. And then I feel maybe the men in the church were like, yeah, that makes sense. And all the women were like,
don't look into anything, it all makes sense.
That's sus as hell. It's not right. And then she did it again with a second child. And then there was a point where it all sort of came out, and people started to realize she found out that there was a journalist researching. People were finding out. It started rippling out. There was no big reveal, but she had to stop going to that church, and they ended up, I think, moving. And at this point, they had bought a truck with the money. They had all this stuff. She never worked. Yeah. I think she
was it all from the church? All of the money?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and through her blog, I think, as well. Fundraisers through her blog.
Yeah. People, they used to do fun runs and stuff like that. There's pictures of people wearing branded shirts with her, and people quite liked her.
Yeah, she was really likable, really charming. Everyone described her as really bubbly and happy and sweet.
Yeah.
And this is one thing which again feels like it was with Bel Gibson too. Yeah. People kept saying she never looked sick. And it was so amazing how she was able to put on this face and never came across as sick. She wasn't.
I remember in the Bel Gibson case that the journalist actually went and sat with Bel and interviewed her, didn't he? Remember he went and sat down and interviewed her, and she kind of kept lying and telling lies that he was kind of pulling her up on.
Yeah.
But with Amanda, there wasn't, you don't remember there being a moment where, with the journalism and everything, they just called her out eventually? Was that?
No, it became, I think it was later on. So she moved from this church, and everybody was a bit she's moved from this community. Yep. Maybe she's going to have a fresh start.
Yeah.
Let's not, get it. And to be fair, I would probably feel the same way of just being I'll keep tabs on her, but if she wants to move on with her life and forget what happened.
Yeah, I'm not going to be friends with her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't think people really understood what they could do legally and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the lengths of it as well. What was actually real and what was fake. And
how do you prove it?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm sure she made so much money, but I'm sure that most people were giving $40 or $50, which is not nothing, but they're not going to go to court to try to get that money back and stuff like that. But what happened was she moved to this new community. She started working at a school again, and somehow the other tile in the mosaic of Amanda's history is that she had only really been a teacher's assistant. She hadn't worked full time in a long time, but she somehow managed to work as like the principal of this like elementary school. Which is again like you're lying at every facet of your life.
It's like Frank Abagnale.
Yes.
Oh my God. Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah,
Let's do that as an episode. Actually, I love that. It is. It's like lying at every point. But that's the pathological liar part of it. It's like she can't help it.
Yeah.
And then this is where it gets like this. I think this is why people pushed it, and this is where it kind of became what it is now, is that a teacher at the school was diagnosed with cancer, was stage 3 or stage 4, and they put on a big fundraiser for her, and Amanda jumped in and said, hey, me too. Yes. And so the fundraiser was for this teacher and their principal or vice principal, whatever she was at the time, for Amanda as well. And they split it down the middle, and that teacher passed away because she actually had cancer.
Yeah.
And then Amanda just got that money again. And then like what blows my mind as well especially with her, is it like, imagine sitting down and cutting your hair to look like.
Yes, because she did, didn't she?
She did
She got like the full pixie cut in the end, because she said, I'm going to get rid of my hair before I lose it to chemo.
Yeah.
Did this cute pixie cut, which obviously never fell out. But was like, look, I have short hair. Like, that's what happens when you have cancer. You just get short hair, I guess.
This is all just like a long way around to just getting a pixie cut.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're not in Princess Diana era anymore. What can be my excuse?
Just wild. And then like she got caught and she got done. They had to get her on, I think, tax fraud.
Yeah, wire fraud, I think it was, because people had wired her money for fraudulent reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was also interesting, is like how hard it was to sort of nail her on anything.
Yeah, because lying isn't a crime.
Yeah.
No. And people giving her money from the church as well probably isn't a crime either, because it's like they're supporting her through a lie.
Yes, but the wire fraud is what they could get her on, because she has got financial gain via deceit, and money has been wired to her for fraudulent reasons. What
was the outcome in the end? Did she end up going to prison for a few years? I can't remember what.
I think she got sentenced to like 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3,
She's still there, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was quite a while. I'm going to quickly look that up. I feel like it was quite a while.
What like interests you in these like Bel Gibson and Amanda?
I think it's like
you were saying, like when you're young and lying, and you know, when you're a kid lying and then seeing how far you can kind of push it.
And I'm just like, at what point, like where's the disconnect? Like at what point do you stop and go, hey, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Or like, don't you, like the thing with like the Amanda stuff as well was that teacher. I was like, how can you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you lying to yourself so much that you believe it as well?
Yeah.
And it's so prevalent. I mean, we don't know how this is going to work out because the case is happening right now. But, you know, Erin Patson lied about having cancer as well.
But now, she went on the stand this week and said she never said that, which has been the wildest thing about.
She never said that.
We keep saying we'll give you Erin Patson updates, but then we don't, because everything like progresses.
We probably do have to wait until it's all done.
We will wait till afterwards. But I will say she took the stand this week.
Yes,
it might be weeks ago by this time this episode comes out. But she took the stand herself
and said
in her defense and said, "No, I never said I had cancer," but the only surviving guest from that lunch said, yes, you did. Like, that's why he said that's why she invited everyone around for lunch, because she had something to tell us. She told us, she had cancer, and now she's taken the stand and said, no, I never said that. It's like, because that was like the ruse.
Yeah.
Anyway, allegedly.
Allegedly,
who have to say that.
But it is, I think, it's just this like, it seems like the worst thing that you can do to lie about being sick. Oh, look, I think it's because everybody's fake sick. Everybody's been like, I want to get out of this plan, or like, I don't want to do PE, you know, we've all done it to some degree, or like hammed it up, you know, maybe. But again, when you mature and you're an adult, you're like, I can just be honest about what's going on.
But then I think what's so fascinating about these stories as well is there is that little thing in you where you watch that and you go, you can see how a white lie can spiral out of control.
Yeah.
And you look at them and you go, they there are so many points that they could have got out, but you can see that they didn't at that point, and then it got too far in, and then it's like, well, now I can't because it's
Another
too far.
line,
It's too
another line, another
not
line.
that like certainly not empathize or anything with them, but it's almost more a human instinct or a human trait that's more recognizable than talking about like a full-blown psycho or sociopath who's committed heinous murders.
Yeah.
You can't look at that, I can't personally, and go, there's something, you can see how someone switches.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
But they're like these big lies that happen, there's something in your human instinct where you go, you can see how they've got themselves in this mess.
Yeah.
So
Covering up something and
I Googled, and she got sentenced to 5 years jail.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Right.
And the charge was wire fraud for $100,000, which they've said she took a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But the proof, like the receipts, were $100,000, and she never showed any remorse or regret.
No.
She admitted that she'd lied, but never apologized for it. Never kind of said, I don't know why I did this. I'm so sorry to the people I hurt. She was playing the victim the whole time.
She just ghosts. She's just never gonna like, and I think that like it almost becomes like learned behavior. Like when she first started getting money, it was on top of her income. It was on top of her partner's income, and then it became their income.
Yeah,
And the blog became like her job, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's so fascinating, like how deep into detail she goes. It just became this fantasy world. It was like a fanfic.
Yeah,
but her own
yeah.
life. And I'm like, also, I feel like maybe this is superstitious, but I'm like, are you manifesting?
Correct.
Yeah,
An illness?
yeah.
You don't want to wish this upon yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And even
yeah.
if not that is some badass karma you're going to get.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
totally.
So her husband has divorced her.
Yep. Okay.
Now she's been sentenced. So he has completely put his hands up and said, I had no idea any of this was fake, which is like, there's a question mark over that.
With all the money as well, and then he gave up his job and everything and started like,
that doesn't mean he knows it was fake. It was just like, well, if anything, that might prove that he didn't, because he's given up his job. Maybe he thought he's kind of caring for her.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's like, we've been getting this money so that I can support you.
Yeah.
Rather than, it's so weird.
Yeah.
It was what was like the bit that like breaks my heart is like the kids as well, and like her stepdaughter like giving up going to her mum's house and like being cut off from her mum, and then like on the other side of it them coming together and like discovering all this shit, and also this like this mum being like, I swear she's lying. It must have been like the weirdest like thing where, when you suspect someone is kind of an asshole and then it comes true and you're like, yes, but then you're like, oh,
but it's not. It's a bad thing to admit I was right about.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. And I think her in particular with Amanda, we all had that kid in high school or like primary school that would just lie.
Yeah.
Mine was Cruz Roberts.
Cruz Roberts.
Cruz Roberts was his name.
What a
and
name.
he would in primary school, and he'd be like, just say, like, it was obvious lies. Like, he'd be like, my toe was run over by a semi truck trailer or something. And he'd go, right. Yeah. And just like little lies like that. But he'd always tell you lies all the time. And he was just like the worst liar.
Yeah.
But he'd tell you a lie every day. And he'd and like if like I remember being in like grade 4 or something, and Cruz was like, I've had sex with like 6 people.
Bro. I don't think I knew what sex was in grade 4.
What are you talking about, Cruz Roberts?
Sex with 4.
It's so wild. It is. And I know
he grew up to become Frank Abagnale Jr.
That's actually true. Yeah. Few name changes over the years.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but you do know people that do lie and lie and lie. I have a friend who was like a pathological liar, like just kept. I'm not looking at you too closely. No.
Had a friend. Now you're the one lying.
Yeah, but they were a really bad liar, and I remember over the years, because I think a lot of the time, and I think I did a show about addicts this year. I think at the start, liars and in particular addicts who have to lie to continually get what they need, at the start they're really charming.
Yes.
Because they can
be.
charm you, and they have to be. And they are the most charming people as well. And pathological liars, I think, are a bit the same in some ways because they can lie and they can convince you that what they're saying is so true and you're the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
And when they're lying to you in a lot of circumstances, it's like they're telling you something and you should feel so special that you're in their limelight and that you're being told this information. But then as time goes on, it starts to unravel a bit and you start to realize that all of these lies just start kind of unraveling, and you look at one thing and you're like, oh no, that's not really, that can't really be true. But I think that would be the most stressful way to live. I remember one person telling me this person was telling me once, he's like, he needed some money for something and it was for his daughter or something to get to Sydney that day. And I was like, oh shit, right? And he's like, yeah, it's really stressful and everything. And I saw his daughter the next day.
Oh,
and I was like, hey, did you get to Sydney? And she went, what? And he went really quickly, oh no, she didn't need to go to Sydney in the end. And that's when I realised it all unravelled.
Yuck. Oh, I feel so yucky
and
about that.
I was like going, oh, this is what your constant life is. It's going, oh no, they didn't need to do that in it. It's like
it's whack-a-mole.
Oh my, it is. Yeah. And that constant stress of being like, oh wait, if that comes up, I have to then counteract that with this. Yeah. And then I have to lie about this.
I'm lying to two people because then he's lying to the daughter and to you.
And Oh. Which is so awful.
That's why I think they get stuck in it, because then you lose your sense of what is true.
Yes.
Because you can't keep up with a normal day because you've lied to 6 people to get whatever you need out of it. It's got to be a kind of addiction as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Just, Man, I remember there was a guy who was he was an adult and he would just lie all the time and preposterous things that we would all find out about. He would lie to us about events that we were involved in. You know, that kind of way. Where you'd just be like, that's not, and also just insane that you're telling me this.
Yeah.
He lied about getting a job to a friend of mine whose partner was in charge of, who was hiring, who was no, he absolutely never got that job, and would be oh, they offered me this, but I said no, blah blah blah, and he'd be like, well, and it was, but I don't know, maybe his lies had more repercussions to other people, but I always kept him at arm's distance. Nice enough guy. But I was like, there's something amiss. There's something going on here.
Yeah.
You don't seem like you know what's going on. And there was one time where he shared something deeply personal, kind of like what you were talking about before, and it was I felt very, it was very vulnerable. I was I really want to make sure I know what I'm saying here. I'm being really careful. And then, this is a secret. Or this is, he said, this is a secret. This is just between you and me. And I was absolutely. And then a couple months later, he started telling me the story again, I hadn't heard it. Oh. And I was like, oh, you've told me. And then I just let him go because I didn't want to correct him. Oh, here's that really sad story again.
Yeah.
And then I come to find somebody else was oh, blah, blah, blah's told me this. And then it was so many different people.
Wow.
And everyone within this circle of people we were around at the time
had the only one told.
Yes, yeah. And had been given this and it was that it felt like a bizarre manipulation tactic, but I was for what?
Yeah. What is the outcome?
There was no benefit to this and yada yada, and then it also turned out to be a bit of a fabrication as well, which is a whole other thing. But it's almost like cult leaders in a way. But they're just bad cult leaders. They just haven't got their cult.
Exactly. They've been stopped before they've become the true leader.
Yeah.
Right? I find it so weird, but I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
I reckon there's not enough research done into pathological liars.
Yeah.
I think it is a true condition like sociopathy or psychopathy.
Yeah, well, people talk about psychopaths and sociopaths and everything, but liars like that are so good at it.
It's got to be a condition because it feels they can't help it, they can't stop it.
Yeah,
and
I find it fascinating.
Convince themselves that it will work out. The one that always comes to mind, kind of similar to Scamanda, is Elizabeth Holmes too.
Yes.
You know, where you're girl,
yeah.
stop.
Yeah,
stop.
I was part of me was maybe she's convinced that they will find the technology to do this.
Yeah.
But she has no idea.
Just keep lying until it works and fake tests and
Then that's what I think about these cancer scams. What's the end game? Because Elizabeth Holmes had an end game in sight. It didn't turn out, but she had that in sight. Like, they'll invent this and I'm the one who started it.
Yeah.
But for Bel Gibson and Scamanda, what's the end game? Yeah. Do you just say one day, now I'm cured? Because neither of them did. That's the thing. And it's like they got themselves in this loop where they're making money from this, so they don't want that to stop. But I also think there's a lot of the ego side of it is that they're getting fed with validation and love and adoration. They can't give that up. But then what's the end game?
Because that's what became interesting with Bel Gibson, is that in order to gain people's sympathy and to get everyone to back off again, she said that the cancer was back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But her whole story was that she'd cured her own cancer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then
spinach.
that unravels that way.
Yeah.
Smoothies, girl. It's all you need. A very good friend of mine, her mum died of brain cancer, and there is no one in the world she hates more than Bel Gibson. She's like, I'm one person that knows one person that died of brain cancer.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you pretend that you cured yourself from that?
Yeah. It just, and it's the same with the Scamanda stuff as well, as to sort of like fetishize people's suffering.
And to jump in on that teacher who actually had, like, that is the most disgusting part of all of it to me.
Yeah.
The teacher that actually had cancer, and she was like, me too, give me half the money.
I dread to think the conversation she had with her one-on-one.
Oh,
as well.
My God.
You know what I mean? Like, because we'll never, who knows what she said, but like just the way she would have tried to like empathize about the therapy and all that kind of shit. And it's like, or talking about the families they have. And it's like, you're fucked.
Yeah,
like,
If
you can sit down with someone who's really going through it and be like, me too. Like, I cannot imagine. But she's in prison. Who knows what I don't know what she's going to do when she comes out.
No.
She's probably grown her hair out.
Yeah. Didn't there be a tell-all book or something? I mean,
no, because she's not really taken responsibility or guilt for it. So I don't think so. Or maybe, because maybe she'll come out and she'll go, well, that's all I've got now.
Yeah.
I just think she'll change her name and move to a different town and
try it
again. Well, because she's not with the guy.
No.
So that it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
And it is like, because I feel like I've brought up so many different, this is my area of interest. But there was a nurse who was stealing fentanyl from women who were getting egg retrievals done for IVF.
Oh, wow.
So they were stone cold sober during egg retrievals. And being gaslit by unknowingly by the doctors who were there, because they thought they were getting the fentanyl, but this nurse was just stealing the fentanyl and injecting saline into them. And so they had this, like, some of these women didn't, or were in pain and didn't say anything because they were like, I must just not be feeling the drugs.
God, women are amazing, aren't they?
I know. But then some of them months later found out about this nurse and were like, oh my God, I've been gaslighting myself this whole time, being like, I'm just really sensitive. I've just like blah, blah, blah. But she ended up getting prison time, but she's doing a weird one where it's like weekends. Like,
just weekends?
She just spends weekends in prison.
Oh, like a camp?
Yeah. It was so strange. I think it's because she had dependents or something, but it was like, it was so bizarre. But like with her, I'm like and not that it's excusable at all, but I'm like, having a fentanyl addiction would fuck your brain, and it fucks your hierarchy of needs. It fucks your sense of other people and what they need and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I can be like, this is devastating, but damn, you're not well. Whereas with the Bel Gibson stuff, again, I'm like, what is the end goal? When are you going to give it up? Why are you doing this?
I think it is an addiction. The addiction's to the validation and feeling needed and wanted and important. It must be that.
Do you reckon it's the social media aspect as well? We all love a like. Do you think it's like a dopamine thing
it must
too?
be a dopamine thing to get that validation.
And then I suppose with Scamanda too, because it was all through the blog.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely.
is it worth it for a couple of comments, babe? Like,
I mean, I would say she probably would say no now she's sitting in jail for 5 years.
It probably wasn't worth it, actually, when I look back.
Oh my God.
I would love to read that blog, but I can't find it anywhere. I'm just so like, it's a sick fascination.
Just to read through it all and see the different posts over time would be so interesting.
Oh God,
it makes me feel young. Like these stories like affect me in my gut more than the gruesome murders.
Yeah,
because they feel more like closer to home or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Again, you dissociate from horrible gruesome murders. But something like this feels like it could be someone you know. I feel like weird in my gut.
And you don't want to live in a world like where you don't trust people.
Exactly.
Because especially if you it's never happened to me, thank God, where I've been scammed into giving a lying person money for now. But even like my
we charge for this podcast, by the way.
Good.
10 easy payments.
But even my friends who've there's been a breakdown of trust in their relationships, or they were cheated on and left their partner, and they're like, I feel like an idiot. And I'm like, no, like you should be able to trust people. If someone tells you that they're sick, why would you not believe them?
Yeah, and what a horrible way to go through life, questioning everything until there's proof.
Yeah. Always just with that in your back of your mind, just going, they could be lying, they could be lying.
I just love that with Amanda, there was just this team of women who were just like, nah. Yeah. Like there is something weird going on.
And there was a journalist got a tip off about it, and she went hell for leather to find, to get to the bottom of this. And I think my favourite part of the story is that Amanda tried to get an AVO, so a restraining order, out against this reporter.
That's right.
Because she was saying she's harassing me, she won't stop calling, she won't stop showing up at my house. And she actually got an AVO out against her that then the reporter fought and got lifted, saying it's not harassment, I'm doing my job in the public service of looking into a story.
Yeah.
And she's the one that ended up outing her.
Yeah, she had to prove that it was for the greater good.
Yes.
And
that is ballsy as fuck. To try to get an AVO out against the reporter who's trying to out you.
Yeah.
That's so ballsy.
That seems like she was so far gone though. That,
the only way to stop it is to stop her looking into me.
Yeah. Oh my God. Jordan, thank you for coming and telling us this story.
Oh, hey, I love to upset people.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I feel yuck in the gut. It's awful. Sammy, can we get her out of here so we can go back to talking about serial murderers?
Yeah, serial murderers.
My happy place. Actually, we have started doing something. We like to end the episodes by sharing a pet peeve. Because I feel like that takes a bit of weight off your shoulders. If you can get out of your system something that makes you feel ugh. So what's a pet peeve of yours?
That is a great question.
My pet's name is Paudry, so we call them a Paudry peeve.
A Paudry peeve.
Yeah.
Paudry's a great name.
Paudry Hepburn. Okay. Her full name. And every time I say Paudry, I hold up my hands like paws.
Because it's fun.
It's fun. She's got paws.
That is fun. Yeah. Okay, a pet peeve of mine is, this is going to sound petty, and I apologize.
No, that's the point.
They're meant to be petty, it's fine.
Yes.
I'm just yet to be proven wrong about this. And I apologize if either of you own one of these hats, but
where's this going?
But there's these Newsy style caps, those little beret caps. They look like 1940s train conductor vibes.
Yeah.
I feel like the only people who are allowed to wear them are toddlers and men over the age of 65.
Yes.
Yep.
The other exception is Chickens in Chicken Run and Britney Spears.
And Britney Spears.
Yes. Chickens in Chicken Run. They are allowed, and I will not hear anything else about it.
But I just feel like the young men who are wearing that, especially in their 30s and 40s, there's something off.
Do you think it's because of Peaky Blinders?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all because, you're right.
They totally are doing it. Yeah, and Chicken Run. No, I can tell if they're Chicken Run inspired. They're cool. But I just feel like every time I've seen one, I've been like, why are you wearing, what is it about you that makes you think you can wear that? And
that is a great pet peeve.
Yes.
I love that so much.
And they always end up being weird. We were at a gig the other night. Oh, you weren't there. This was at Miss Moses.
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy with one of those hats on, and he ended up being really kind of creepy and weird. And I saw him, and do you know what I thought? I said, Jordan, don't judge another person
by their hat.
By their hat. Let it be.
Yeah.
But then what happened?
He was a real weirdo.
What have we learned? What have we learned? You can judge
weirdo.
people by the hat.
Absolutely.
I actually think this is the one piece of clothing that I am bang on correct about.
Yeah. I love that. And now we'll go through life looking at these people with these hats on.
Yeah.
Are you a chicken run guy or
You're not
are
a
you
chicken,
a peaky
not even
blinder?
a chicken run guy.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
You're the
having
best.
me.
And you have a podcast, so
I
Pop
do.
Gaze?
Yes, Pop Gaze. It's a pop culture podcast. We released every couple of weeks, and it's fun. It's just stupid shit.
Great. Yeah.
Right. That's the best kind.
And you haven't got any more shows coming up at the moment, but you're
No, done.
But Miss
Chilling.
Moses is a monthly room that you
It's
and
a
Ray
monthly
run.
room in Brunswick. If you want to come, first Wednesday of every month, we tell the comedians to tell a secret at the top of their set. Which
so
is sometimes fun and sometimes upsetting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now
It's
that
really
is a
fun.
hook.
Yeah,
I like
it is a
that.
hook. Yeah.
And I hear that Lion King is currently casting. So,
I love that show.
Yeah.
so if you've got nothing else happening, you want to
That's
get back in the game.
Hell yeah.
It's time to shine.
Yeah, Lion King's the show for me.
You just got to be prepared.
Oh my God.
God, you're
Actually, I played that out full the other day. It's a great song.
Oh, man.
It's so good.
Oh, man.
It's a
Yeah, no one's arguing
Classic.
here. No one is arguing here. Between Chicken Run and the Lion King. Woo.
Come on.
The two big ones.
Don't even get me started on Shark Tale.
Jordan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.